Action.
Action. So we're gonna do I've gotten so many DMs and emails and stuff about the last video talking about my wheel setup and tire setup. We're just gonna do an entire episode just focusing on wheel specs and how to figure out the best wheel tire specs, how to measure stuff like what size hub stuff you need, lugs, all that stuff, and offset.
What's your wheel specs, bro?
Offset, wheel lip size. And we're gonna dive specifically into RSs because I just have a lot of experience with that stuff. And also, there are like a million different options for RSs out there. And first question being, with Xavier just asked me a little bit ago, is how do you figure out if it's a fake RS? And there's a bunch of ways. I feel like the easiest is most fake RSs are not gonna have a bolt on the back because they're not actually, they're like little plastic plug-in type guys, even if they're metal. They're like fake bolts usually. So you can just feel the back of it. If you feel a bolt or a nut, sorry, then you know it's real. Also, I don't know of any companies that make fake RSs that are 3-piece. Also, every RS is stamped BBS Germany on the inside.
Gotta walk my way in. Make y'all feel like y'all in the camera.
These are the RSs that were from the 2002.
Speaking of 2002, it's been a few people asking what happened to it.
She sold, she's gone, sadly, but I still got the wheels. But she went to a new home. The guy really seems to enjoy the 2002, so. It just needed a lot more love, and I already have enough projects, so. But the second thing we wanted to go over is gonna be, how do you figure out what offset, lip specs, stuff, in general, just to figure out the actual specs on your wheels. So this is a 15-inch RS wheel. This is a 15-inch lip as well. But with RSs and a lot of other 3-piece wheels, you can actually upsize the lip diameter from the original diameter. So like my rear wheels, they're actually a 15-inch face, but they are a 17-inch lip. So they're double stepped up to a 17. There's also different types of lip styles. There's like bubble style lip, which is what my rear wheels are. There's slant lips, which are like the lips that I had on my Z4. Those were 16s double stepped up to an 18 with slant lips instead of.
Slant lips remind me of like a spaceship disc.
Yeah.
Like a UFO dish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad I went with bubble on those. Also, they're like so deep. Those are 6.5 inch.
So you gotta do the hot boy stuff and put the beer cans in it.
Yeah.
Or put like a baby.
Wouldn't work well with the slant lip, it'd slide up. I haven't seen anybody step up anything in more than 2 inches. So a 15 can go up to a 17, a 16-inch face can go up to an 18. And I've never seen any, they did make a Super RS, which was an 18-inch face lip combo. I've never seen a 17, so the 17-inch RSs are actually 16-inch face bumped up already.
Okay.
So there's a lot of options. You can basically go from 15 to 17 as wide as you want. But there are a bunch of different face options also, which makes it more confusing. So there's actually a stamp on the inside, and one will actually say the face style. So this is a RS036. And so that will tell you the offset of the back of the actual face, and also tell you the bolt pattern, as well as the width of the wheel. So the actual offset is like the flatness of the back, how much actual space it has. Some will have an actual like a chunk of metal sitting back if they're a higher offset. But this one it's been powder coated, so it's very hard to see. So these were originally 15 by 7 wide, and they were offset of 25. That was with a 1-inch lip. And then you have to count the face, because the face is sandwich mounted, which is a 1/2 inch, so that equals 1.5 inches minus 7, so it's a 4, whatever the math is, 5.5 inch barrel. Is that right? Yeah. So a 5.5 inch barrel, 1/2 inch face, and then 1 inch. Yeah.
So I'm praying that your math is correct, because
We all know my math is a little sketchy. So when you're actually measuring the width of your wheel, this is a 15 by 10. You can obviously get that by running different size lips and barrels. But what you want to obviously make sure you do is measure the, keep the 1/2 inch of the face in mind. You can technically sandwich mount this, which is what it is right now, or you can mount the face in front of the lips. You could take out that 1/2 inch, but I'm not even going to get into that because it's not the way you're supposed to mount these. That's not the way they were built. But so you can measure. So I could get this exact same width. This is a 4-inch lip and a 5.5 inch barrel, plus the 1/2 inch equals 10 inches. But I could get this exact same measurements if I ran a 4-inch barrel and like a 5.5 inch lip.
how does one go about finding these custom barrels?
So yeah, so good places to get lips would be, if you're staying the same size, you can find them anywhere online, like Black Forest Industries. There's a couple of websites in Germany and stuff like that. But I get my lips from Wheel Flip. He can do like the 15 to 17 double step and stuff like that. And he has a lot of the stuff like just in stock on his website. So you can just go and order. You don't have to like call and have a custom setup or whatever. But if you're staying with a small wheel and you want to go even smaller than a 15, if you're running like some like 13s or something like that, somebody actually commented on the last YouTube video. There's a guy, his Instagram is Love20B, like LOVE 20BEE. He makes some really sweet like old SSRs. If you have like 13-inch SSRs and you want a huge lip on them, he can remake them. And, so if you're a Datsun guy and you want to keep some real cool small period correct wheels, but you want to make them wide, he's definitely the guy to go to. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with Wheel Flip for the new lips and barrels that I'm gonna run because he's already taken care of me before. Okay, so I have one of the stock S14 wheel studs. And what I wanna do is, since we now know I'm gonna be running a 12mm spacer, I'm not gonna get a spacer. I've only seen maybe 15mm being the thinnest that actually has studs in it, similar to this. So this is a spacer with wheel studs in it. So I'm gonna run a spacer without wheel studs in it. So I'm gonna need to extend my wheel studs. So luckily I don't have backing plates on this thing, so knocking these out is super easy. Just a little hammer action and a lug nut. But so with 12mm added to the spacer, I'll have 12mm less threads to actually grab my wheel. And that's not safe. So we're gonna get longer studs. And so you wanna measure from the actual collar to the end. These are about 42mm. So this is about 42mm. So I want about 12mm more, which is gonna be around 55mm, but I could even run a little bit longer. I've measured the other side. So when picking your new wheel studs, you need to know 3 different measurements. 1 is the actual length, which is what we just figured out. 2, you're gonna wanna know the thread pitch of it. These long studs that were gonna go on the 2002 before I sold it are 3.5 inches long, and the thread pitch is 12.5. Yeah, 12 by 1.5, which is actually a different thread pitch than the S14, which runs a 12 by 1.25. I know that I need 2.25 inch long by 12 by 1.25 thread pitch. And the last thing you need to know is you need to know what the actual collar on this is, which is a little over 12, about 13mm, because that's actually what grabs into the hub. So you put it through the back, throw a socket or something on here with like some spacers, some washers to keep it straight, and you just pull it through, and that's what actually grabs and holds your stud. So you want to make sure that that's actually the same size. There's a bunch of different ways to put this in. Everyone will tell you a different way, but I like to use the back of a really flat socket. Lug nut. Start it by hand, make sure the teeth grab. There she is.
I guess we're putting on your own wheels every now and then help pull it in more too, or?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's essentially just pulling it more into the hub and it'll grab. Okay, so to measure the actual offset of your 3-piece wheels after you've changed them, or maybe even before you decide to change them, the best way that I've found, honestly, is find the stamp on your old wheels. In RSs, they're right on the center. Mine have been powder coated, so it's very hard to see, but these wheels were 15 by 7 inch, and you need to know what the lip and barrel sizes were. So we know that I had a 5.5 inch barrel and a inch deep lip. So basically what you can do is you can put those wheel sizes into willtheyfit.com, I think it is, or .org. Google it.
Just Google it, bro.
So put it in as the old wheel setup, and then basically what you want to do is if you have a 1-inch lip on your old setup and you want to go to a 5-inch lip, just keep putting in different offsets and different widths. Well, you're going to know the width of your wheel, but to put in different offsets until it tells you that your new wheel pokes X amount more. So 4 inches more if you're going from a 1-inch to a 5-inch lip. And then that will tell you your offset at the end. That's the best, like, foolproof way I've found to figure it out. It takes a little bit of time, but it is what
When
it
you
is.
spending this much money, y'all better put in some time.
Yeah.
Because these wheels are not cheap.
I don't really even care about my offsets too much. Well, what I do to measure my back spacing is, like, literally I'll get the wheels and have the lips and barrels taken off of them, just mount the face, and then just measure straight from there. So I can mount my face to this and measure from the back of the face, the mounting surface of the face, to my actual, like, strut tower, or to the actual coilovers, or wherever I think I'm gonna hit first, and I can see, oh, well, I have like 7 inches to play with, so I could go up to a 7-inch deep barrel. And then same thing, you could mount your face and then measure out to the face of your fender. With your suspension compressed, you can kind of get a roundabout size. So that's what I've done. I just figure out what lip sizes I want and then just work from there. What we have found is we're gonna run a 12mm spacer, which is gonna get my wheel as close, the face of my wheel as close to my brakes with like a 3mm, 4mm clearance. So I went from a 15 by 10 with a 225, is it 45? Yeah, 225, 45, 15. I'm gonna bump it up to a 16 by 10 with a 245, 45, 16. And I'm thinking about going with the Toyo RR, like their slick compound. They're pretty much a slick with 2 little lines down the center.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they have the R888R, which is what this is, and they have the R888.
These are R.
These are R888s.
Before the R.
Then they came out with the R888Rs, which is what you have.
Yep, because it has like
And
a
then-
line in the middle.
Yeah. And then looking at RRs. I might go with R888Rs for rain tires, if I can find them in the right size. We'll see. Not rain tires, damp tires. I'm not ever driving this in full-on rain. It's not worth it, but I will go, racing in some damp weather. And we're gonna have a couple sets of RSs now that I'm swapping stuff. So I can have rain tires already mounted on another set of wheels ready to go if that happens. But what I'm going to do is actually change from a 5.5-inch barrel and a 4-inch lip to a 5.5-inch lip and a 4-inch barrel, which is actually gonna make, after the reduction of the spacer width, it's gonna make this stick out like 23mm more, so just barely under an inch, than this current setup. But luckily I have the Technotoy tuning arms, and I can suck them all the way in, so I can have the same exact setup I have right now width-wise, and have more lip, and have more clearance on the inside of the wheel as well. So that'll give me about like 15mm, I think, more clearance to my tie rods and stuff like that, which my tie rods were rubbing on my wheel weights. Yeah, so this setup should work really well. And I'll have a 245, which is gonna be more meat. And
Pause.
Huh?
Pause. That's what we say in our friend group. You say some real suspect quote, more meat.
It's like you and Glizzy's, man. Stop it. Yeah, so that's the new front tire setup. And then on the rear, I'm going to keep the same 17 inch diameter, and I'm going to keep my 6.5 inch lips, because my rear wheels are actually 17 by 13 and a half with a 315 stretched on them. So I'm actually going to be running 4-inch barrel instead of a 6.5 inch barrel, which is going to take it down to a 17 by 11, and then I'm going to run a 275/40 17. That's the widest 17 they have in the RR compound. But it'll be a 275 17 on the rear and 245 16 on the front. It's much closer to a square than I was before, with a 215 15 and a 315 17.
Alright, so if you guys are still on this channel right now, go ahead and subscribe, because it helps supports us do what we need to do. And if y'all want to see this guy get on the track quicker, then you need to double subscribe. Go make 2 pages. It's a double subscribe.